All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to save introductions with the hopes that maybe more people will come and just do a few announcements. And then folks will have this recording if they want to watch it after the fact. Um, okay. All right, can you guys see this? I think I saw a nod of a head. Okay, great.
We can see it.
All right, so just going to run through a few announcements. Um, sorry, people are entering as I'm trying to manipulate this. Okay. Well, now it's not letting me move the PowerPoint. Bear with me, guys. Well, for some reason, it doesn't like me to move the slides at this moment in time. So we're gonna abandon that idea and maybe go back to it. So as we have a few more people here, if you're feeling in the mood, no pressure to share your screen. Not share your screen, to show your faces. That would be lovely. Makes it a little more personal. But again, I understand if you're having a bad hair day or just not in the right mood. So we'll just do a round of introductions so folks can kind of get to know each other a little bit. If you want to share your name, how long you've been with CASA, a little bit about your case, and maybe just something that's good in your life or you're looking forward to, we'll go with that. So I'll share first. I am Sarah. I have been with CASA going on 4 years now. I have just one case that is just mine right now, and it is a 15-year-old that's in residential, and he's been there for ever since I have had the case going on 4 years. And so I'm just really working hard to try to advocate for him to get out of residential in the ways that I can. So that takes a lot of energy. And something that's good in my life right now, I'm over the snow, but I was into the snow when it first started. I have a big hill by where I live, and I kind of made do with a big pool float that I have, and me and my neighbor went and just slid down the hill, and now I'm a giant bruise. But I am a 10-year-old like that. I'm into that kind of thing. So I will
I
pass.
love that, Sarah.
Loved it too. I'm paying for it a little bit now, but it
Hilarious. I'll enjoy the image.
and I'll pass it to Kim.
Hello, Kimberly Webb. I've been with CASA. This will be my 14th year. I have 2 cases. Let me see. Let me count. 3 cases. Two
Wow.
of them are in residential, and one just exit residential. I'm currently in Memphis, so right now I'm handling the residential cases that come out of Davidson County and Shelby County. And so I am doing that right now. I'm also a a peer coordinator. Um, and here in Memphis, we had a lot of snow, still snowed in, and I am so over the snow. I'm so over it. I'll pass it to Paul.
Hey, good afternoon. Yeah, my name is Paul Bond. I've been a CASA since 2018. My case that I'm working on right now involves twin boys that are in different places.
Mm.
And we're just trying to get them together if possible. But having issues, I guess, with one of the boys and his behavior when he's with his brother, it's not all working out the way we want it to. So that's a big thing that we're working on. And as far as the snow goes, I'm done with it. Sarah, I'm on a hill as well. I'm parking my car down at the street and walking, and it's just not, so that's not good. But something good that's going on is my daughter is doing well as a freshman at Belmont, so I'm happy for her. Who's up next? Lindsay? I see Lindsay.
Hello. Um, I'm Lindsay. I've been with CASA for I guess it'll be next month. We'll make a year, and then I've had my case since March. And I actually just found out, well, to start with, I have three kiddos, three siblings, but they're all in different placements in different schools. So that does sometimes pose a little bit of a challenge. But they're doing well. Although I did just get an email this morning. I was left off of an email chain since last week, which can be challenging to be left out of the loop. But I just found out that one of my little kiddos is in the hospital. So I'm pretty concerned about that. And it looks like she's going to be there for a little bit longer. So I'm not exactly sure how that will pan out. She's been having some mental issues recently and meltdowns due to a change in visitation schedule with mom. We keep thinking we're very close to a trial home visit, but then it's like we're so close, but then we keep having all of these hangups. So it's a little bit discouraging in that aspect. But I'm a little bit concerned about her. I just found this news out about 15 minutes before jumping on here. So I'm still processing and kind of getting to the bottom of like what went on. And they think ultimately like an adjustment in medication might help because some of the medications have significant side effects. But that's kind of a little bit about my case. And then something good is that I will hopefully be getting out of the snow and going to see my parents who spend part of the year in Hawaii. So I'm looking forward to a nice little change of scenery and weather. But I think the snow is fun, so I'm enjoying it for now. And it hasn't, a little landlocked, but it's not horrible. Did I miss anything? Is I supposed to say anything else?
Sarah, can we
I
ask
don't know.
questions or should I wait? I just wanted to follow up on the hospitalization.
Yeah, why don't we introduce and
Wait,
then
okay.
we'll like dive into like whatever anyone wants to talk about. But Darlene, we're just sharing about how long we've been in CASA, a little bit about your case, and then maybe something good that's going on with you or that you're excited about generally.
Okay. I think am I the only Darlene on your group? Because in this group now, because Darlene Vastano was in my other one before, and there's another Darlene. There's a whole bunch of it. I'm the only Darlene in your group. All right, since I moved over. I'm Darlene Ryder. I think I've been with CASA about 3 years. I'm on my third case. My case is gone pretty well, I think, as well as it could be. My boys are, I have the two oldest in a group of 5 boys, and they're in 3 separate foster homes. Nick's got the other 3, and is Nick on? No. So honestly, all of our kids it's a very good situation, I think, for all of them. And so they're in good foster homes. They're doing as well as they've ever done. So that's something to feel very good about, so I can use that as my, the only issue, the thing I'm trying to work on, I know, Sarah, I don't think I barraged you with all the emails I sent to Kimberly, but I'm trying to get this worked out because my boys are 15 and 16, and so they're wanting to drive and they want to learn how to drive, and I guess there's a program that DCS will pay for their driving school because their high school does not have driver's education like some high schools do, and they're in Jackson. So I've emailed her a couple times to figure out. She says she'll look into it. You know, I know they're busy. I know I don't. So that's the one thing I don't know if there's any way what we can do from our side to figure out if Jackson's a pretty big city. Hopefully there's a driving school out there. I didn't know if I could just call them and ask them myself if they have a agreement. So I think that's good for me. I'm from the north, so I'm used to snow. I grew up in the snow. Um, so I think it was it whoever was just sharing. Yeah, I don't get so excited about this.
Thank you for sharing. And Miss Caldwell cannot unmute her phone. She sent me a message, but she's amazing, and she's been a CASA for what I think like 16, 17 years, something like that. So thank you for being here. And Margaret, I think you're last.
Hey, it's Margaret Eichard. Sorry, I'm not sharing my screen. I just exercised a bit and caught a glimpse in the mirror, and nobody wants to see what's going on here. So, anyway, I have been with CASA for a little over 4 years, and oddly, I've had the same case the entire time. And I'm just really struggle with it. I love these kids. I've obviously gotten to know them very well over the last 4 years. But it seems like every time we have a hearing or any sort of, it feels like we start over every single time. And the biological dad keeps getting chance after chance to make things right. And he keeps just getting another chance. So I'm a little frustrated. These kids, luckily, they've been together in the same foster home the entire time. So that's a silver lining. But I'm ready for some closure, and I know they are too. And I just don't know why this case. I keep being told that this is not typical. So I don't understand what is different here. But anyway, that's where I am. And while I love snow, I am done with it too, ready to move on and get on with the world. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Margaret. Jess, I didn't mean to try to skip you. I've just talked to you so much this week. I feel like we've talked.
I know, you're like, enough, all right already.
No, I'm not. But if you want to share, and then you can ask your question.
Sure, I'm Jess Ingram. I've been with CASA Nashville for 2 years. I'm on Project Starfish. I work with kids who are juvenile justice involved. I've had 3 cases. One has been going for a year. And he is a 15-year-old who just moved from the juvenile docket to the 207 docket, and currently location unknown, so that's not great. Been looking for him. And then another case that just successfully closed, so that was good. And before that, I was trained as a GAL in Florida because CASAs are called GALs in Florida. And then before that, I ran a nonprofit working with foster kids in San Francisco. I'm an artist by training and teacher. And what else did you want to know? I still love the snow. I'm not over it. I love how quiet it is mostly. I just feel like everything's so quiet and it's just so beautiful. So I will be sad when it turns into a slushy, muddy mess. I'm enjoying it. So yeah.
Thank you. I think you had a question for Lindsay
Oh,
about
Lindsay,
hospitalization.
do you know what hospital your kid's in?
Um, if you hold that thought, I'll tell you. One sec. I'm trying to flip and see I'm on my phone doing this, so
Yeah.
I just found out it looks like perimeter.
Okay.
Does
They
that
don't have
is
a
that
ped
I mean I've
psych there,
never,
do they?
pardon me?
They don't have pediatric psych there, do they?
I don't know. This is the first I've ever heard of
Okay.
perimeter. And then they were also talking about getting services through allied behavior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But she's always had like very big emotions and big outbursts. And she has had before. I'm the second Costa to come into these to be on this case. And prior to when I took it over, she had some like psychiatric, issues and things. They do feel like one of the um, things they can do to address it is adjusting one of her medications.
Yeah.
So I don't really, I don't really know exactly. I mean, she says in the heat of these outbursts, I mean, she's saying like, I mean, just egregious, like, horrible sentiments, everything from calling her foster mother, curse words to she wants to kill herself
Right.
to she just wants to go back to mom's and why won't you let me? So it's the whole gamut of of emotions and out of the three siblings, like she seems to struggle the most
Yeah.
with these changes, or like any potential change to the schedule can kind of lead to her feeling very,
Yeah.
into something like
Well,
this. I
I
think
think with your discovery order, and Sarah, you can weigh in here, but I've had a kid hospitalized multiple times for psychiatric. And with your discovery order, you can call in and get an update. Or the guardian can allow permission. One thing that was really helpful for me to learn with a kid that also has mental health crises is always tell the kid, caregiver, everyone to get the ambulance to go to Vanderbilt. Because they have a pediatric psych unit. So now, like on any case, I always tell them if anything ever happens, Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt.
okay.
Because and then they can refer out. And I have had great luck with Trust Point if you can get your kiddo into Trust Point, but I was only able to do that through Vanderbilt Ped Psych because like at Centennial, they only have adult psych and they won't take kids up to adult psych anymore. And also you don't really want a kiddo in adult psych, but anyway, just from my experience.
I believe
Yeah.
that perimeter's in Chattanooga.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong. I
It's
think that's
in
one of the places where they take kids when there's overflow at Vanderbilt Pediatric Psych.
Well, and everything's overflown right now because of the snow. Did what was I gonna ask? Oh, did Mobile Crisis get involved?
I have no idea. Honestly, I
Because if they
reached out.
did, then they can be coordinating for a psych residential, which usually is the next step if Mobile Crisis was involved. Right, Sarah?
I
That's been my experience on these cases.
That is one of the way that it goes. I worry with your kiddo, Lindsay, with the multiple different times that this has happened that we might be headed that way.
Well, and
yeah,
psych
and I had
residential, I don't think is always a bad thing. We had a great experience. It like we needed intensive med management, so it just
and
depends. I guess.
I
and I
agree.
can forward you, Sarah. I have not even forwarded it to Anne, um, my peer coordinator yet, because I was I've been trying to do a lot today, and then I had texts to try to just keep tabs on the school schedule this week with the snow and the closures, because we were supposed to have an IEP meeting for her earlier this week that obviously got canceled to no school. So today I was going to see if I could actually come to the placement and, just hang out with her, have a visit. Since next week I'll be tied up. And that's when I just learned about all this. And then she apologized. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You must have been left off of the email." And that's another I've been left off of a few things, but I just keep trying to combat it. But now that I'm catching up to speed, kind of like figuring out what my role can be, how I can best serve her at this point. I don't know that I can do a visit yet. I don't know if my January visit what that looks like at this point, but on another note, I do have another question. I didn't bring up something about.
Real quick.
Mhm.
I see, just because I see a hand and I want to make sure that people with hands up are being able to talk about what's being talked about at that moment. But we'll get to your point.
Okay.
I just want to say, there's a perimeter, and you'll probably get more details when you're able to look into the case. But there's a perimeter behavior in Jackson, Tennessee, and they specializes in children, providing inpatient psychiatric treatment for children and adolescents ages 6 to 17. So that's another um, psych treatment place for adolescents. So I don't know um, if that could be one also.
Thank you, Kim.
Yeah,
Just
I'll
real
get
quick,
clarification on the exact location.
yeah, I was just gonna say about, you said that earlier about being left out on emails. One of the things that I ask all volunteers at the onset of getting a case is to make sure you CC me on all correspondences related to that case. And I always tell people it's not because I'm trying to micromanage you and make sure you're doing what you need to be doing. It's because inevitably you'll get left off an email that I am on, and then I can loop you back onto it so that we're making sure that we're all getting all of the emails. So that's why I ask of you of that. Yeah, that can be incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, that just happened to me yesterday.
Or meeting invitation or anything. So when you get those meeting invitations, you may want to just see like who's invited. Are the right people invited on those? Is there a counselor that needs to be there that was left out? I had one yesterday where an educational surrogate parent was left out for an IEP meeting. So we need to just kind of make sure you're checking on things like that. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you earlier, Lindsay, if you wanted to go ahead. Just want to make sure that hands are being seen. And you're on mute. Lindsay, you're still on mute.
Sorry about that. I'm on my phone and I never do these from my phone, but you got to do what you got to do. So for my for the boy that I have, he actually opened up to me more than he ever has before, which was I felt really good about that. Um, but one of his concerns, this might be very simple, and I'm sure everyone with more experience than me has some suggestions. So one of his concerns is like he says he doesn't have pants that fit. And I know that he has pants, but he doesn't like he doesn't like the style. They're not what's in, and he's right about that, I think. Um so I mean it seems silly, but like I mean I would like to help get him some pants where he feels good at school and he fits in with his peers and he he feels decent. So I mean I asked him what
That's
size he thought he
easy.
was.
I got
What?
you. So that's an easy one. I got you. Go on
Yeah, so
Amazon, find what he wants, send me the links, and I will get them for you.
but do I run the only question I had was like, what role do the foster parents play in like buying and like providing things like the clothing? And if they buy clothing that like I mean, I know that his foster father, um, he he tells them like, oh, well, you have pants, and when you're my age, you're lucky to have any pants, like regardless of the style and yada yada. So, I mean, do I run the risk, like, I mean, doing that, of kind of like stepping on foster parents' toes when they've said like, oh, the pants I've provided are sufficient, but the wrong style. Like, I mean, it seems silly, but like, just how do you navigate that without kind of upsetting the foster parent, thinking that you're over, if they have provided the pants that they think are okay. Seems
Yeah,
ridiculous, but
I have thoughts, but I wonder if other people want to weigh in on this and how to tell the foster parent they're not buying the cool thing.
because I don't want to undermine them, like, I think he's a really good foster parent. I think he's, but I mean, he's an older dude, and like the pants he wears, I guarantee are not what 14-year-old boys are wearing. And I don't know exactly his size either, like if we ordered him, I mean, but anyway, it seems like a simple thing, but I think it would make him really happy and boost his confidence.
I think you need to get him the pants myself. Um, I think what I would do is I would talk to the foster parent on the side and say, we'd really like to do this. We understand you're really doing a good job, whatever, providing clothes. Just, you know, he's this, he might need, it probably would help his confidence and everything if he did have something. And I'd probably do exactly like, don't you remember what it was like when we were kids? Because I'm almost 60. And I remember because I grew up with no money. And I was the kid that was still wearing bell bottoms when everybody had straight leg jeans, and it was awful. And I remember that. So I don't know if there's a way to like have some rapport building with him to say, and so do you think it would be a good idea? I'm thinking it would be a good idea to get him a pair of pants, is that right? I don't know. That's probably what I would do, but I do
Yeah,
think it's important for him to get the pants because kids are so cruel, and when you're going to school with all this other crap you're already having to deal with, the last thing you need to be worried about is being made fun of for your freaking pants.
yeah. And he says that ideally he wants 3 pairs of pants because he says he only has a couple pairs of pants, and he wants at least, I said, how many pairs of pants do you think you need, for a week? And I think he just factored he needed like Monday through Friday pants. But he said, I don't have any pants that are jeans, I guess, that are decent. So I just didn't know. I mean, I have no, I mean, I would buy him the pants out of my own money, but I just didn't know procedurally how to go about that. So it makes sense if Sarah, if I send you something, and he thinks he knows his size, but I mean, I'm not sure.
Kim, do you have a thought? I see your hand.
Yes, as a licensed foster parent myself, I would welcome any help. That's less that will come out of my pocket is my first thought. Secondly, you have to be careful if there are other kids in the home also, with the young boy, because why is he getting pants and then the other kids aren't getting pants? That's secondly. Thirdly, I would just, if he's the only one that needs them or said something about it, I would just pull the foster parent to the side and say, "Hey, I have an opportunity. CASA has an opportunity to get him a couple of pair of pants. Do you have a problem with it, or do you mind if CASA provides that?" And go that way about it. But first of all, I would make sure about the other kids because it can sometimes pose a problem if you have more than one child in the household.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And you can put it on me and just say, hey, was talking to my team leader about the things that kids can have control or autonomy over, things like decorations for their room or the clothes they kind of want to wear. And I, was talking to him about the kind of styles that he likes, and he said he likes this. And wouldn't it be great if, that's one of the things that he could have a little bit more autonomy over? And I have this connection that can get them very easily, and I would love to be able to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Sounds like a plan.
One of the things about uh, giving in general and gift giving, and we talked about this a little bit around Christmas, is we discourage like ongoing big gifts, and I think you all know this. Little things here and there, birthdays, Christmas, totally fine. But when you do supply those things that you see, like this would be an easy need that I could fulfill, we recommend that you say, CASA got a donation for this, or we found CASA was able to get this, so that they don't see you as the person who's Santa Claus and giving the gifts and the things. So just another plug for that. um, One of the things that Jess asked about, Kim, is the dual role of being a CASA and a foster parent. I know that like there was a certain point where it was you got taken off the peer coordinator because you went back to fostering, but it's just been a while since I've been asked that question. Can you be a CASA and a foster parent at the same time?
Yes. I was like the first person that was a foster parent and a CASA volunteer at the same time. So what it is, you cannot be CASA Davidson County and foster parent Davidson County. If your children, if you become a foster parent, they cannot be in Davidson County. They have to be outside of Davidson County for confidentiality reasons. Um, when I became, and it became an issue to protect yourself because, at meetings and everything, sometimes information comes up that can't, you're not supposed to know about. But yes, as long as your children aren't in Davidson County, which is the area that we serve, then you can be a foster parent to them. Um, I had three when I was a foster parent. My children had a casa, and it was kind of awkward at first because she was new and she was like, "Am I doing this right? Am I doing this right?" Do you have to find your own way in doing it? And then that's when we realized that, hey, this may become a problem with me being a foster parent, but plus a peer coordinator. So I was taken off the peer coordinator's role for a while and just became a volunteer. And then I moved to Memphis to help take care of my parents. So then I went back to residential, which are out of Davidson County, but I'm not a foster parent. So at least right now. And if I do choose to move my uh, credentials here, of course, they would be Shelby County kids and not Davidson County. Is that hand up for me from Joycelyn or is it for
Yeah,
somebody else?
Jocelyn, just
I'm
a quick
sorry.
question. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. Just a quick question about that. If we to become a foster parent, and this may not be the best question for you, but do you not have to reside in the county that you are fostering in?
No,
Okay.
because
I was just curious.
your organization is based on your organization, and your organization takes kids from all over.
Right.
So, just like I believe Darlene said, she has a child now that's in Jackson, is it? In Jackson. So the kids move around. So it depends on what organization you work with.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything case related or other questions you want to talk about?
I'll ask one question again, not specifically to my case, but I forget who, because I don't think the camera was on, but someone had a case where it was going on, I think like 4 years. Um, and she said they kept getting like close and close, but then not. My case has been going on for a while too, even though I haven't been on it that whole time. But I mean, do the courts, like, at what point do they stop that and seek permanency? I mean, that seems like 4 years seems like a very long time to be kind of in a limbo state. I mean, is that common?
I think you're referring to Margaret's case. And it's like I'm having deja vu moment because we had the same conversation. We've had the same conversation multiple times. At what point do we, try to find permanency? Margaret, do you want to speak to that?
Um, I wish I knew the answer. I said before, this is my only case, so I have nothing to compare it to. And Sarah and I have had many conversations about this, that I'm all for giving parents, second and third chances, but we're on, like the 15th chance at this point. So I don't see what the court is trying to prove. He clearly can't get it together to have his children. Now, I will say that some of this that delayed everything was COVID related, and but it just nothing is moving in a normal progression, and we were supposed to have a court date on Tuesday, and of course that got canceled. So it's just like we're snake bit. Nothing is going the way it should. But I don't have an answer. I don't know why we can't just be done with it, and that because they're in a pre-adoptive foster home, the foster mom would love to adopt them. So there's really, I don't know. I don't know the answer. So that's all I know.
Yeah, I'll just say, and then Jocelyn, because I know you have a similar situation, but and I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but at a certain point when kids are in custody, TPR does get added to the permanency plan. But even then, they'll still give parents every chance to, those third, fifth, 15th chances to get their kids back. And Margaret and I had this conversation too. You can read all the statistics about how children do better when they are back with their biological families in terms of outcomes and health outcomes, educational outcomes, all of that. But we know that at a certain point, kids need that peace of mind of permanency and that forever family. But yeah, so with your cases, I would say, if you keep going back to court and TPR does stay on the permanency plan, you will get that court date to get in front of Magistrate Callaway, and you will have that trial. And whatever the outcome of that trial is, will be the outcome of that trial. I'm not telling you all anything you don't know, but so if parents are engaged, what I've noticed, if parents are even just doing the minimum visitation, what I've seen here lately is that Callaway is gonna give them that chance. And the DCS attorney for that courtroom, Shay Jolly, might feel differently about that, and it might go to circuit court and go that route. So that's kind of what we're seeing in a couple of different cases that I have, at least. And I know I saw hands from Jocelyn, and I think Darlene, you had your hand up for a sec.
Yeah, just really quickly, just wanted to also say, like, I'm also on a case similar to that where this is going on the third year that the girls have been in care, and that uh, initially there was a lot of struggles with DCS attorney, or not attorneys, but social workers, and like just turnover, general turnover. And so not necessarily anything that parents could, control or have a way to fix or otherwise. But my parents are still very involved with their case, and trying to do more than the bare minimum, like Sarah said. And so we had a similar conversation earlier this week of, at what point do we say that permanency is best for them, and which route do we go for permanency, knowing statistics and otherwise, and like what is in their best interest as children. Um, but yeah, it is just kind of tough to like weigh that balance. And I thought it was really helpful to chat with Sarah and like get a better understanding of like how my case stacks up against other cases, because while my parents have been doing their visitation, they've missed about a third of their visitations since August. And so to me, that seemed like a really big number. And chatting with Sarah was helpful to try and put it into perspective of like, my case is one of probably 30 plus. And so across the board, like, just because my parents are struggling, does that mean that across the board, like other parents are struggling at the same rate or doing better or worse? And for whatever reasons that may have come up, maybe it's a transportation issue, maybe it's a health issue. So just trying to be a little more open-minded and like giving them the 5th, 6th, 15th chance to make sure that they're able to have every shot at doing what they can for their kids. So that's been helpful to try and put it into perspective.
Thank you. Darlene, did I make that up? Was that a fever dream that you had your hand up?
No, I did, and I think Jocelyn said a lot of things. I remember I asked this very question. I think it was in one of our meetings a while back, or maybe it was in Carter's, where I said, "Isn't there a point where a TPR is in the best interest of the kids?" And I think the answer to that is yes, that there are situations where TPR is in the best interest of the kids, and that was certainly the case with our kids. Mom, it was easy though, because mom was doing nothing at all. And so when mom is doing nothing, dads are not around for years, and your kids are in 13 different homes, bopping around, it's in the best interest of the kids to, mom is not in the picture at all. Mom has totally abandoned them. So it is, I think that it is just a really difficult situation. And it's a shame. It's a shame though, to me, because we just don't have enough foster homes, and so you want to keep these parents. So it's just this cycle, right? Of you have to keep these kids. You're keeping these kids in foster homes for years and years and years, and there's not enough capacity. And there's not enough foster homes, and these parents are getting, yeah. And I agree that they should. I wonder what the statistics show for the kids though, that are 7 and 8 years in foster care, while their parents are getting 15 times. Really, are the statistics different for them than the statistics for the kids who are 6 months and they go back to their parents, or a year? I mean, I think there's probably significant variation among that, within that. I think because it's hard. I would think that it would be hard to watch kids if they're in a great foster home. Like it's great, but
I would love to see that study too, Darlene. And I imagine it's probably pretty nuanced based on the child themselves too, and their individual characteristics and
right.
the little human being. Which is why we have this good human element of being CASAs, so that we can get to know these kids and really try to figure out, on a gut level, what might be best. I have a case right now that TPR was supposed to happen this week, and it's a 4-year-old who's been in his foster home for 3 years, and mom got sober in the last 9 months, and has got a job, and she's doing visitation, But every time the child goes and has a visit with mom, it's like a complete meltdown, self-harming behavior. This is a 4-year-old. You know, we were in foster care review board a few weeks ago, and the child looked at their mother and said, I don't want to live with you. I want to live with my foster mom. I mean, it's tough to make these calls. So I kind of went off on a tangent there, but
I think that's a great example, though. I mean, of like this hard question that you guys are all, I'm not dealing with it now, but it sounds like several on this team are. It's such a hard question.
it is. Any other folks that want to chime in on anything about your case or otherwise? I had this beautiful, beautiful PowerPoint, you guys, and it just won't let me click through it. So I'm just going to tell you the things that I remember. There's a couple of events coming up, which I will send you calendar invites for, but we're going to have a training on Safe Babies court coming up, just if folks aren't familiar with that court system. We've got a guest coming from Tennessee Voices for Children that's going to talk about their programs around family preservation. So that should be exciting. I just wanted to do a couple little foster care review board reminders, and just court in general reminders. I say this every time, but just I would encourage you to call the clerk's office at juvenile court every few months or so and just ask if there's any upcoming court dates or foster care review boards for your case. Have the child's date of birth handy, and they should be able to give you that information. I try my best when I get those dockets to send them to you, but then sometimes something weird happens and it gets scheduled on a day that I'm not aware of. So just encourage you to do that. With foster care review board, don't push that little beautiful dog away, Jess. With foster care review board, you'll hear a couple different terms, like saying this case hasn't been staffed yet, so we're not ready to do foster care review board. Staffed means we have not had the meeting to prepare for the permanency plan hearing, aka the plan of care. Those are two different terms that are used that are the same. So foster care review board can't happen if the plan has not been staffed, seen in court, ratified, and so therefore foster care review board will be canceled. So when you're talking to your caseworkers, that just make sure that the plan of care is up to date, been ratified. Are we ready to go to foster care review board? And has transportation been arranged for the child to go there? Because otherwise you'll get there and it will be a waste of time. So just a couple of reminders around that. And then just a plug for me, if you could get your court reports when they're due to me, 7 business days before the court date, so that I can look at it to you, send it back to you and say, that was wonderful. Now we can send it back to the court, because our MOU says that we will get that report to them 5 business days before the actual hearing. And I'm getting those pretty last minute, and it's making me sweat, y'all. So just a little plug for that. And then, yeah, I think that's all I got. I'll send you guys my beautiful PowerPoint, and it has links to everything, and just that ongoing Google folder that I keep with resources. So you'll have that too. I send that every time. So yeah, we're getting towards the end. Any last thoughts? Well wishes, anything you guys want to talk about? I appreciate everything that you do more than you know. You all are wonderful, and you'll be getting a recording of this meeting. Thank you so much for coming. Have a good one. Bye.
Thanks, Sarah. And I just put the court report on my calendar, so
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll be better. Bye.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
See ya.